In this video, we'll discuss about the rate law expression and rate constant. The rate of a chemical reaction at a given temperature depends on the concentration, pressure, in case of gases, and temperature and catalysis. The representation of rate in terms of concentration of the reactant is called as a rate law equations. The rate of a homogeneous reaction is proportional to the product of the concentration of the reactant raised to some power. Thus, for a general chemical equations, A plus B gives C and D. Rate equal to minus dr by dt. This is equal to K concentration of A to the power X and concentration of B to the power Y. Here X and Y are the terms which is not equal to or may be equal to your stoichiometric coefficient, but it is not compulsory. X and Y will have always equal to your concentration, that means stoichiometric coefficients. It is a experimentally determined terms, and this equation, that is minus d concentration of R by dt equal to K A to the concentration of A to the power X and concentration of B to the power Y, is called as differential equations, and K is called as a rate constant or specific rate or velocity constant. This value of K is independent of concentration and time and has a specific value at a given temperature. The rate law is the expression in which reaction rate is given in terms of molar concentration of the reactant, with each term rises to some power, which may or may not be same as the stoichiometric coefficient of the reacting species in a balanced chemical equation. So this says that your value of X and Y may or may not be equal to your stoichiometric coefficients. And the rate law for any reaction cannot be predicted by looking at balanced chemical equation theoretically, but it is determined experimentally. That is why the value of X or Y may or may not be equal to your stoichiometric coefficient. Now, the sum of the power of the concentration terms, the reactant in the rate law expression, that is X and Y sum, is called as a order of the chemical reaction. So, if you added the sum of the power, that is X and Y, then you will get the order of the reaction. Order may be 0, maybe 1, maybe 2, or even fractional orders. Now, zero order reactions means independent of any of the concentration of the reactants. Whether you have taken the reactant amount, large amount, or a smaller amount, the reaction will continue. Then that is called as a zero order reaction. First order reaction means the rate depends on only one of the concentration of the reactants, and it is called as a first order reaction. And second order means the rate of the reactions depends on two reactant species, then it is called as a second order reaction. Like this one, third order means three reactants together. The rate depends on the three reactants, then it is called as a third order reaction. If any reaction which take place in one step, then they are called as a elementary reaction. Suppose N2 plus 3 times of IS2, then you will get 2 times of NIS3. So here it is a single step reaction, it is of complementary, so it is of elementary reaction. While a reaction take place with a various step, then it is called as a complex reaction. So like this one, we have two types of reaction. One is elementary reaction which have only one step, another one is complex reaction which have more than one step. Now let us see more about the order of the reactions. The sum of the power of the concentration terms, that is alpha plus beta. If power is alpha, A power is alpha and B power is beta, then we have alpha plus beta. In terms of the rate equation, then it is called as overall order of the reaction. Alpha and beta are called the partial order with respect to the reactant A and B respectively. The order of the reactions generally has a value from 0 to 3. Order can also have a fractional value. So fractional order, let us see one example. Decomposition of acetaldehyde, then the rate become 1.5. This is a fractional order. The order is different from the stoichiometric coefficient and need to determine experimentally. So from here we know that order is an experimental determination value. And now reaction order and rate. The reaction order and determine how the rate depends on the concentration of the reactant. Now the rate of law for the reaction can be written as R equal to Ka to the power 0, that is K in case of zero order reaction. Rate equal to K concentration of the A power 1, this is about the first order reaction, and R equal to Ka concentration A to the power 2, this is for the second order reaction. In the graph we have seen reactant concentration versus time graph. We have seen that for the zero order it is a straight line, and for the first order it is slightly bent, second order it is much bended as compared to the first order reactions. Now let us see how to find out the unit of rate of a reaction. Now concentration, rate of change of concentration per time, that is rate. So the unit must be concentration unit is moles per liter and time unit is second inverse. So the rate, the formula of the rate or unit of the rate we can say is moles per liter per second. If instead of liter you use decimeter, then we have moles per decimeter cube per second. For the gaseous reaction it is about atm per second or torr per second. For zero order reactions R equal to K, so K equal to rate. Rate means concentration per unit time. So concentration means moles per liter is the concentration, and per time means second inverse. Like this one, if K value is moles per liter per second, then it is of zero order reaction. Like this one, for the first order reaction, rate equal to K to the concentration to the power 1. So if you want to find out K means rate by concentration. So now rate by concentration. So if rate means concentration per unit time, and then your K means that divide by your concentration. So concentration if you cut, then you will get time inverse. Time inverse means second inverse. Like this one, if the unit of K is of second inverse, then it is of first order reactions. For the second order reactions, again rate equal to K to the concentration power 2. So if you want to find out K, then rate by concentration to the power 2. So if you add that, the unit of rate concentration per unit time divided by concentration square. So you can cancel one concentration and another concentration. Then you, in the downside you will get concentration, and upside time inverse you will get it. Concentration inverse will comes concentration inverse, time inverse. Concentration inverse means per mole liter per second. This is your second order rate. For the nth order, rate equal to K concentration to power n. So if you find out K, rate by concentration to power n. So concentration, one concentration, if you cut it, then you will get it concentration 1 minus n per time. Thus, like this one, we need to find out the unit of different rate of the reactions. different order. Now molecularity. We'll see about the molecularity. The number of reacting species taking part in an elementary reaction which must be collide simultaneously in order to bring about a chemical reaction is called as molecularity of a reaction. Now if the molecularity of the reaction is 1, then it is called as a unimolecular reaction. If it is of 2, then it is called as a bimolecular reactions. If it is of 3 molecules combined simultaneously in order to give the reaction, then it is called as a trimolecular reactions. So this is what about the molecularity. For a complex reaction, the reaction takes place more than one step, and each step have a different order. Thus, the overall rate of the reaction is controlled by the slowest step in the reaction, and that step is called as a rate determining step. The order of the reaction is an experimental quality. The order of a reaction is of experimental quantity, and it can be 0 or even fraction, but molecularity cannot be 0. That is a non-integer. Order is applicable to an elementary reaction as well as complex reaction, but molecularity can be applicable only in the elementary reactions. We cannot find out the molecularity of a complex reaction. For a complex reaction, order is given by the slowest step generally. This is what about the general rule to find out the order and the molecularity of a reaction. Now let us see about the integrated rate-law equations. Now, integrated rate-law equation, it is the different for different order reactions, means that its value is of different for the different reactions. Now let's see about the integrated rate-law equations for the zero order reaction. For a zero order reaction, like reactants give product, that is R gives P, then you write down the rate equal to minus d of concentration of R divided by dt. Now this, when t becomes 0, then what we have, R is in the initial state. So initial state means we will take this K naught. So while we write the rate equal to rate minus dr by dt, this is equal to K concentration of that reactants according to your rate-law expression. So the power becomes 0 now. Any number to the power 0 is, we have 1. So this equation now we can write as rate equal to minus d concentration of R by dt. This is equal to K into 1 means K, you will get it. So this dt into K means by cross multiplication you will get it. D of concentration of the R equal to minus K dt. Now remove d by taking integration in both sides. Then you will get, if you remove d from here, means concentration of R equal to minus K d remove means you will get t plus, then integrate. If you have taken integration, you will need to put a constant, that here we put I. So minus kt I. When t equal to 0, R, that means your concentration become R naught. Then substituting the value of R here in the integrated rate-law equation, we have here instead of R we have R naught K into T means 0 plus your R naught. This is equal to I. Now we get R naught equal to K into 0 plus I. So here K into 0 means 0, so you will get R naught equal to I. So substituting the value of I in the equation 1 again, R equal to minus KT R naught, you will get it. Now if you plot R against the T, we get a straight line having the slope minus K, and intercept means where it cut the line, that is your intercept. So here is R naught we have, and so R naught, and simplifying the equation we get K equal to R naught minus R by T. R naught minus R by T. This T should be here only. K equal to R naught minus R by T. This is the integrated red equation for the zero order reaction. Integrated red equation for the zero order reaction is K equal to R naught minus R divided by T. Now let us see about the first order reaction. Integrated red equation for the first order reactions. For the first order reactions R T, then red equal to minus dr by dt. This is equal to K R to the power 1 is according to your laws of the red law expressions. Now if you have done any number here, this all the R party comes to one side, and then you will get it dr by R equal to minus K dt. Now integrating the equations is you will get it ln R is equal to KT plus I. Ln R equal to KT plus I. So when T equal to 0, R becomes R naught, where R naught is the initial concentration of the reactant. Now substituting this one in the first equation, ln R naught equal to K into 0 plus I. So ln R naught equal to I. Ln R naught equal to I. Now substituting the value of I in equation 1, we will get ln R equal to KT plus, instead of I we substitute ln R naught. Then rearrange the equation. Then we get it ln R divided by R naught equal to minus KT. Therefore K equal to 1 by T ln R by R naught. Ln R by R naught. This is the first order reaction rate constant. When T equal to T1, ln R1 equal to KT1 plus ln R, you will get it. When T equal to T2, ln R2 equal to KT2 plus ln R0, you will get it. Now these two equations, let us write as equation 2 and equation 3. Subtracting 3 from 2, we will get it ln R1 minus ln R2 equal to K1 minus K2. So if you have taken the common ln here, log minus means log divide, we will write. So ln R1 by R2 is equal to K T2 minus T1. So the equation ln R equal to KT plus ln R0 can be written in the form of ln R by R0 equal to minus KT. Taking log on the both sides, you will get it R equal to R0 e to the power minus KT. Here ln is log to the base 1, which can represent as E. So the equation ln R equal to minus KT plus ln R0 is likely to have the equation like Y equal to mx plus C. When we plot R against T, we get a straight line, as the equation Y equal to mx plus C is the formula for the straight line. So the slope of the graph is minus K and intercept is ln R0. Thus the first order reactions can be written in the form of K equal to 2.303. This 2.303 comes to convert ln to log. 2.303 divided by T, log of R0 by R. This formula of rate constant for the first order reactions. Now this is the graph for zero order reaction. This is the graph for first order reactions. So we have seen two graphs here. Now let us see the first order for gases reactions. Let P1 be the initial pressure and Pt is the pressure at time t. Thus P1 equal to Pa plus Pb plus Pc. If X atom decreases in pressure of A at time t and 1 mole of each B and C produced. The increase in the pressure of B and C will be X atm atm. That means when t equal to 0, this A concentration is P1 atm, B concentration is 0, C concentration is 0. When at the time t, your A concentration should be P minus X, whereas concentration of B becomes X and concentration of C becomes X. This is what we have, where PA is the initial pressure at the time t equal to 0. So we can write it as Pt equal to P1 plus P1 minus X plus X plus X. Thus X equal to Pt minus P1, where Pa equal to P1 minus X. This is equal to P1 minus Pt minus P1. So if you multiply here, you will get minus Pt plus P1. So P1 if you add that, it should be twice P1 minus Pt. So K equal to 2.303 by T, as it is a first order reaction. So first order reaction, K equal to 2.303 by T, log of concentration of the reactant. Instead of concentration, you need to say your pressure. So we can write K equal to 2.303 by T, T log of P1 by PA. So you can substitute the value of PA here. Then K equal to 2.303 by T log of P1 divided by 2 P1 minus PT. So this is the first order react constant for the zero order first order reactions or the gaseous reactions. Now let us see about the half-life period. For the zero order reactions, as we know that K equal to R0 minus R by T. When T comes to T half, then the concentration of R equal to 1 by 2 R0. Then the rate constant at T half equal to K R0 minus half of the R0 divided by T half. So T half equal to R0 by 2K. This is what half-life period of the zero order reaction. Now let us see half-life period for the first order reactions. For the first order reaction, K equal to 2.303 divided by T log of R0 by R. So if T equal to T half, then R equal to R0 by 2. So substituting this one, we get it K equal to 2.303 by T half log of R0 by R by 2. So T half equal to 2.303 by K log 2. Substituting the value of log 2 here, you will get it T half equal to 2.303 by K into log 2 value 0.301. So if you multiply these two numbers, you will get T half equal to 0.693 by K. 0.693 divided by K. This is the value of T half. And in the previous video also we have seen about the pseudo first order reaction. That means the reaction may carried out, by assumption the reaction may carried out higher order, but actually it will behave as a first order reaction. Then the reaction is called as a pseudo first order reactions. This is what about the pseudo first order reaction. Example which you have seen here, this tertiary butyl ester undergo hydrolysis, then you will get it your acetic acid and your ethanols. This is about the pseudo first order. The reaction itself goes first order reaction, but when we check it, it's look like higher order reaction. That is why it is a pseudo first order reactions. Now, laws of mass action. According to this, the rate of any elementary reaction is proportional to the product of the concentration of the reacting molecules, which you have done in your class 11. Now, different method for determining the order of the reaction. We have four methods. One is differential method, another one is isolation method, the third one is method of integration, the fourth one is half-life method. Now let us see how to find out order by using differential method. In this method, rate are measured directly by determining the slope of the concentration versus time curve. Now you need to find out the slope of the concentration versus time curve, and the information is obtained on how the rate is related to the concentration. The method was first introduced by Van Hoff in the year 1884, and the rate of nth order of the reaction is given on the equations. A double logarithmic plot of log R versus log C give the straight line of the slope n order and intercept log k. Now this is the slope equal to n, and your intercept is log k here. Like this you will have it. If a straight line plot is not obtained, then the rate cannot be expressed in the above, and the reaction does not have an order with respect to the particular reactants. The rate can be measured in two different ways. Number one, by various run at different initial concentration. Number two, by single run but measuring the rate at different times. Now let us see with different initial rate concentrations. Various run are carried out at different initial concentration of the reactant, and initial rates are measured by measuring the initial slopes. So we can measure as in this way. This procedure avoids the possible complication due to the interference by product. So the order does determine are called as a order with respect to concentration or true order. Now at different times, let us see it. In this procedure, a single run is carried out and the slopes are measured at different time. So this gives the variation of the rate with respect to the time. So here in the graph you can find out log k slope is nt at nth order. So the order does determine or called as with order with respect to the time nt. That means different time, different orders you will get it. So you need to find out the two procedures that can be combined and can obtain graph where both NC and NT can be determined. NC is here, NT is here. You need to determine this graph. If NT is greater than NC, the reaction proceeds and the rate falls off more rapidly than if the true order applied to the time course of the reaction, that is, some substance produced in the reaction is acting as an inhibitor. So due to inhibiting nature, the rate gradually falls down. If NT is less than NC, the rate is falling off less rapidly with time than the expected on the basis of a true order. If R1 and R2 are the rate at two different initial concentration, that is C1 and the C2, then you can find out this one. But these methods are not in your syllabus, just for your understanding, and we are not using this one. Even isolation method also we are not using, so we will not discuss. And next step is this method for integration. You can see it yourself, but all these are not included in your syllabus. For the second order also you can find out, for zero order reactions also, but you can see the graphs. Now you will see what are the syllabus. All these are not in your syllabus. Now let us see factors affecting the rate of reaction. First one, concentration of the reactant. Second one, nature of the reactant. That means physical state, surface area, and molecular nature. The rate of the reactions with reactant in gaseous phase is greater than solution phase than solid phase. Why it is, I have already explained in the first video. You can see it. Larger the surface area, larger is the area of contact, hence faster is the rate of the reaction. This is how it depends on the surface area, and the second step is how it depends on the physical state. Now let us see about the molecular nature. The more is the structural similarity between the reactant and product, faster is the reaction. So if there is a similarities in the structure of the reactant and product, then the rate become faster. Lesser the arrangement of the bond need in the reaction, faster is the reactions. Due to this, it depends on the molecular nature of the reactant. Now let us see about the effect of temperature. This is of third factor. Temperature has a marked effect on the reaction. Can initiate a reaction, increase the rate of the reactions. Means that the work of temperature is nothing. First one can initiate the reaction, second one increase the rate of the reaction. So for a reactions we require delta G become negative. That is, the value of delta G is given by delta S minus T delta S. If temperature is increased, then T delta S is increased relatively with a large extent as compared to the delta S. Hence G can become negative, and thus the reaction can start automatically. So this is our thermodynamic concept, how this effect of temperature changes the rate of reactions. Now let us see again. For most of the reactions, the rate of the reaction is double or triple by rising up temperature by 10 Kelvin. That increasing the rate we call it the temperature coefficient. Temperature coefficient equal to rate constant at T plus 10 divided by rate constant at T. Why does temperature speed up the reactions? Let us see this one. A chemical reaction takes place due to the intermolecular collision. On increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the reaction molecule increases, and hence collision frequency increases. Now that is Z is directly proportional to delta T. Increase in collision frequency alone cannot explain the large increase in the rate with temperature. So if collision frequency increases, then it cannot alone can explain the large increase in the rate with increase in temperature. So collision theory along with Maxwell distribution of the energies is necessary to explain the effect of temperature on the rate of a chemical reaction. So here we have Maxwell distribution of energies, means those collisions, every collisions produce energy. So while collision is more, then more fractions of the molecule can increase their energies level and reach the activation energy, which is the minimum energy to attain by the molecules to convert into the products. So this energy which is required by the reactant molecules to goes into the products is called as a threshold energy. So collisions between the molecule posing an energy equal to or greater than threshold energy, then that collision is called as a effective collision. Only in the effective collision the molecule goes into the product. This is what we have here. The number of molecules possessing the lower energy decreases, whereas the number of molecules possessing the higher energy increase with increase in the temperature. The number of effective collisions become double or more, which result in the observed increase in the rate. So that is why increase of temperature increase the rate of the reaction. Now let us see the Arrhenius equation. Arrhenius equation means K equal to A e to the power minus Ea by RT. This equation is called as Arrhenius equation. Here A is the pre-exponent factor or frequency factor, or we may call it limiting rate constant, where Ea is the activation energy and your R is the real gas constant, T is the temperature. A higher activation energy signifies that the rate constant depends strongly on temperature. Now let us see about the activation energy. The molecules need a minimum amount of energy to react or visualize as an energy bearers. Where lower the activation energy barrier, the faster is the rate of the reaction. This is what we have here. If in the equation K equal to AE to the power minus Ea by RT, if Ea is the activation energy and the pre-exponent factor A are independent of temperature. And now let us see about the effects on the presence of catalyst. We have a catalyst is the substances which may increase or decrease the rate of the reaction. And it increases the rate, then it is called as a positive catalyst or promoter. If it decreases the rate, it is called as a negative catalyst or inhibitor. So a positive catalyst always decrease the activation energy, or whereas a negative catalyst always increase the activation energy. This is what we have seen in the graphs. So the work of a catalyst is nothing to provide the alternative way to reach the activation energy quickly. So we have a homologous catalyst and heterologous catalyst. In case of catalyst, if the catalyst is same phase with the reactant and product, then it is called as a homogeneous catalyst. All the enzyme catalysts are of homogeneous catalysts, and whereas the catalyst which is used in acid-base reactions are also homogeneous catalysts. If the catalysts have different phases with the reactant and product, then it is called as a heterogeneous catalyst. So in case of ammonia preparation, we use iron as a catalyst, and that is of heterogeneous catalyst, where nitrogen and hydrogen, the reactants, are of gaseous phase and iron is of solid phases. So most of the enzyme catalysts are used in biological reactions. The substrate fit into the active site of the enzyme, and like key and log. So the model is called as a log and key model, which you have done in your enzyme catalyst in biology. A catalyst affects both forward and backward reactions. Thus, it does not change the state of equilibrium. It only changes the way how to approach the state of the equilibriums. Now we have some theories to how to convert a chemical reactions, how to occur a chemical reactions that we will discuss here. The most important theory is, first one is collision theory, second one is transition state theory or activated complex theory, or you can say absolute reaction rate theory. Here collision theory is important for your exam. According to collision theory, what we have done is that most of the atoms or molecules are assumed as a hard sphere. The molecules' motion are explained by classical mechanics or Newton mechanics. The size of the molecule are negligible as compared to the typical distance between them. Due to the kinetic energy of the molecule, they move around and collide with each other. The molecular collisions are perfectly elastic and energy is not lost here. The velocity of the molecule is disturbed according to the Maxwell distributions. So that will give a Boltzmann's constant Kb. Considering the collision between the two types of the molecule A and B having the mass of Ma and Ab, then the mean relative velocity is you need to find out, and the rate of the reaction can be calculated from the rate which the reactant molecules are colliding. So the collision rate or collision number of the collisions per unit time can be expressed by using some formula. The collision between A and B will result in a reaction provided the energy of the collision is sufficient to overcome the energy barriers, that is EA. According to Boltzann's distribution, the factors of the collisions of energy EA is proportional to E to the power EA by RT in this equation. So the number of effective collisions per unit volume per unit time, this is equal to number of product molecule formed per unit volume per unit time. So the number of moles of the product formed per unit volume per unit time must be calculated, and the rate expressed in terms of moles per unit volume. And this is the end of your syllabus. So we'll discuss some more concepts in the next video.